What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Shawn Porter and Olexander Usyk. And Shawn Porter had this to share with everyone and anyone who would listen, and this is what he says. This is my secret, how to beat Usyk. Shawn Porter, quote, "He wasn't a skinny bean when we fought, but he wasn't as thick as he is now." Shawn Porter remembers how he beat Olexander Usyk, who is now the 6 weight divisions above him. A young Olexander Usyk was beaten by Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter has recalled how he hit Usyk with a right hand to win an amateur bout, with which 15 years later feels improbable. Former welterweight champion Porter is currently 6 weight classes below undefeated heavyweight Usyk, but beat him when they shared a ring. Okay. In 2006, he fought at 165 pounds, and Porter told Sky Sports this. He said he fought in the 2012 Olympics Games at heavyweight, equivalent to cruiserweight in the professional boxing. And he said, "My dad says, you recognize this name. Remember fighting this kid?" I said, "No." He said, "He's Ukrainian that you beat in Chicago." I said, "What?" "He's fighting at heavyweight now." He said, "Usyk was as tall as he is now back then we fought. He is definitely bigger, heavier, and stronger now. He wasn't a skinny kid being or a skinny bean when he fought, but he wasn't as thick as he was now." So Porter and Usyk were both 20 years old when they clashed in December of 2006. Usyk would go on to capture an Olympic gold in 2012 and is now an unbeaten as a former undisputed cruiserweight champion and is a threat to heavyweight titles. But Porter, who now stands 8 inches shorter and whose reach is 9 inches shorter, managed to get the better of him. Okay. He remembered on the podcast, "Amazing fight myself, Keith Thurman, and 11 guys on the U.S. team. Ukraine came over. Keith was 152 and I was 165. Everybody comes back to the locker room losing. Me and Keith were in the locker room warming up. We looked at each other. We ain't going home with a loss. I went out there against Usyk. He was tall and was a southpaw. He wasn't on the point. We fought on the point system. 3 out of 5 judges had to push a button within the second in order for you to get a point. First round, I was winning by 2 points. The second round was tied. Going into the third round, my coach said, line this guy up for a right hand and you'll get him. The final round, less than a minute in, I caught him with a right hand. He didn't stumble back, but he took a couple steps back. Enough for me to know that he was hurt. I jumped on him, kept boxing, and won the fight by 4 points. It was a close fight until the end. I thought to myself, I earned that, not just because he came over to the U.S. Usyk stuck around in the amateurs until his Olympic success in 2012, but Porter turned pro in 2008 and is a 2-time welterweight world champion." Wow. So, recapping on the chronicles of Shawn Porter in the amateur division, he said the right hand is what won him the fight because that made him step back a couple. That gave the indication of him being hurt. He jumped on him, accumulated the 4 points, and that, my friends, is that. Now, let me counterpunch. It's a lot of fighters, believe it or not, just in situations just like this. Not taking anything away from Shawn Porter, because what you need to acknowledge, from amateurs to pros, okay, they are 2 different things. Some guys are better at pro, some guys are better at amateur, okay? Now, with Shawn Porter is better at both, but I think you have to look at the weight classes. I think you have to look at each fighter at the age they were. They were both 20 years old, okay? But Olexander Usyk, I feel, wasn't as filled out as he was. Maybe he was fighting at a wrong weight class. You look at guys like Vinny Pazienza. He used to fight at 140 until he got in a wreck and came back at 160 because he found out, hey, that's where my power level is. Okay? So those type of things happen, as opposed to him staying at 140 and not really developing his power at all. Let's say Usyk would have done the same thing. He would have probably been in the same boat. So you have to know where you're really at, and it has to take a good nutritionist, a good trainer to see where you're supposed to be, to see how you naturally grow as a person. Okay, because everybody's genetically different. Okay, you look at guys like Ugas and Crawford. Ugas beat Crawford in the amateurs. Okay, Dillian White beat Anthony Joshua in the amateurs, but got destroyed he got knocked out as a pro. Can't say destroyed. So, but he got knocked out as a pro. So, he was beaten then. So you have many accounts of fighters going in there. You know, Romanov Evgeny knocked out Deontay Wilder. They stopped that bout. That's what, in the amateurs of Deontay Wilder. So, these things happen, but will that happen as a pro? We don't know. So the amateurs, again, and the pros are two different situations. Now, the secret that Shawn Porter shared was line him up with the right hand. Okay, and he lined him up with the right hand. That's any foil punch, great counter punch for a southpaw. No doubt about it. Okay, because if you're sitting in that stance, someone like Usyk, and he likes to throw a lot of punches, I would love to see the fight myself, but Shawn Porter, shorter, stockier, 160 pounds. Where do you think, what weight and being that size is going to favor the power category? Someone shorter, more compact. Okay, because Shawn Porter was shorter, thicker. Okay, he's fighting, 2-3 weight classes below that now. Because I guess he figured out where his power lies. But at 165, he might have been more powerful at 165. But we definitely know by now that Olexander Usyk wasn't. Okay, because they were both at 165. So 165 to 168, 175, right? And then you get into cruiserweight, then you have heavyweight. Or should I say bridgerweight, then heavyweight. So you have these two guys that fought once upon a time, and it's just amazing how, a two-time welterweight champion, beat a guy that's all the way at heavyweight now. But again, as if you guys were listening at the beginning of this video, people change, and they change at different parts of their life. People grow at certain times. Sometimes you think you're finished growing and you grow another 2 or 3 inches, those things. And then if he was tall like that, he had already grew the way he's supposed to. But what else? He needs the muscle mass. He needs the power. Okay, with muscle comes power a lot of times. And that's Usyk. Like he said, he was smaller. He was thinner. He wasn't skinny though. Okay? But he did the job. He made the job happen. And, shouts out to Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter is a guy that he is the PBC frontman. He's the clean fighter over there. He's, the commentator. He has his own show. I think it's Inside the PBC or something like that. He hosts with other people like Abnan Mades and stuff like that. So I don't think this was a diss at all. He was just saying like, hey, it's amazing what people go through their journey. Everyone takes a loss, either it's amateurs or pros, but everyone learns, loses, and they advance from that. So I think that loss from Porter probably motivated Usyk to go up more weight classes because the power wasn't there. Who knows? But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Shawn Porter giving the secret to beating Olexander Usyk. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.